Welcome to Sugar Feeling Anime Recap. Let's talk about romance, coming of age anime called Yesterday Sing for Me. Enjoy and happy watching. Raikuo Uezumi gets to work early in the morning to feed a black crow, which belongs to a young woman named Haru Nonaka. He asks Raiko for a bento box, and he reluctantly gives him one. That day Raikuo receives a letter to a reunion, which prompts an old memory. Suddenly, Fukuda rings the doorbell and asks his friend for money. They reminisce about how hard the real world is. In his next shift, Raikuo runs into Haru again, which Kinoshita starts to develop a little crush. A customer walks in, and Raikuo recognizes her immediately. It's Shinako Morinome. Later, they meet up at a local diner and talk about their life during the past 6 months. While walking home, Raikuo listens to Fukuda's mixed tip until a crow's cry catches his attention. It's Haru's crow, and the owner is nearby. The two go to a nearby park and start to talk about life and family. She finally reveals to the young man her feelings, and the first day they met. One day, Haru crashes into, intentionally, Raikuo and Shinako. It seems that the two young women know each other. Shinako appears to be concerned about Haru since the latter got suspended from school. Haru leaves the young pair, and they soon arrive at Shinako's place. Once Raikuo and Shinako say their goodbyes, Haru jumps in and scares Raikuo, and starts teasing him. But things turn serious when Haru reveals how the pair met and the downside of relationships. Back at work, Raikuo tells his colleague what happened. This prompts the young man to visit his crush and reveal his true feelings for her. But Shinako rejects him. The following day Raiko and Haru meet at a local playground. The former encourages the young man not to lie. Spotting Riku's camera, Haru asks him to take a picture of her. Shinako gets a new haircut. In the meantime, Haru is annoying Raikuo at his workplace until Kinoshita begins to annoy her. When she leaves, the two men start talking about Raikuo's rejection. At a school, Shinako is a bit nervous seeing that it's graduation day. Later that day, Shinako runs back to her classroom because she forgot something. There she meets Ru, who isn't supposed to be there yet. The boy invites Shinako to eat dinner with his family, but she refuses to have drinks with colleagues. On the way, she stops at a playground and runs into Raikuo. The pair start to talk about old memories and how time changes everything. She asks him to stay a little bit longer with her. When he's about to answer, Haru appears. The young girl is a bit upset about intruding on the young pair's conversation, consequently running away. Ruo, much to his shock, witnesses the entire scene play out. The following day, Raiko can't stop thinking about Shinako's rejection and talks with Kinoshita about it. Ruo walks into the convenience store and confronts Raiko about what he means to Shinako. The young man reveals his relationship with Shinako and his older brother. Back at the school, Haru is waiting outside for Shinako to go watch the cherry blossoms. Later that day, Raiko waits for Shinako outside her apartment and tells her about Ruo's conversation. Haru is once again at the convenience store. It's heavily raining outside, but that doesn't Raiko from leaving and Haru from following him. The young girl wants Raiko to open up to her and love her. But the latter is very reluctant, but that doesn't stop her. The following day, Haru is at the convenience store to visit Raiko, but he's homesick with the cold. Kinoshita gives the young lady, Riku's number to check upon him. Riku's fever is finally coming down, and before he knows it, Shinako is at his doorstep with food. She hands it over and quickly leaves. While walking back, Shinako can't help but point out the similarities between Raiko and Ru. Raiko is back at work, much to Haru's pleasure, and invites him to the movies. On a delivery run, Haru runs into Ruo and offers him a coffee from her workplace. While closing up the bar, she strikes a conversation with her coworker, Kyuko Sayama, regarding her living situation and family. Haru's mother, Yoko Akimoto, introduces Haru to her latest partner Kawashima. Haru is relieved that her mother found a good guy. Even so, it triggers memories of her father. Haru goes back to the convenience store to talk to Raiko. Haru is getting ready for her date with Raiko. But Raiko is taking care of Shinako, who has come down with a fever. Haru is waiting outside the movie theater for Raiko and calls him several times, but he doesn't answer. Back at Shinako's apartment, Raiko abruptly wakes up from his nap and heads to the theater. But when he arrives, the place is empty. He wants to call Haru, but he doesn't have her number. A dejected Raiko walks home only to come face to face with a dejected Haru. Raiko apologizes, but Haru can only convey how concerned she was for his safety. Haru asks him where he was, and Raiko tells him at Shiniko's apartment, which shocked the young woman. Raiko tries to explain why, and Haru painfully realizes that Shiniko has priority. Raiko finds Haru at an intersection. The young girl concludes that she'll eventually run out of places to run and decides to forgive Raiko. Ruo is working on an art piece that he's having a little bit of difficulty with. After class, he spots Haru making a delivery. But before he can do anything, his friend Takashita comes up to me. Ruo confesses his frustrations with the new art tools. That night, Ruo arrives home and finds Shiniko in the kitchen. The duo started to talk about Ruo's passion for art and his plans. But he also points out how he always was under his brother's shadow. This leads to a blow-up between Ruo and Shiniko. On a delivery for Milk Hall, Haru talks about her colleague with Ruo's teachers. Ruo walks in and talks with them regarding a summer course. Late at night, Ruo finds himself in front of the convenience store and buys a notebook and annoys Raiko. Hana walks in and quickly recognizes Ruo. Seeing this, Raiko quickly helps Ruo with his purchase. Hana and Raiko ignore Ruo, who is still standing there, and start bickering. Ruo gets upset as he realizes that Raiko has a backup if it fails with Shiniko. Ruo threatens to expose the relationship to Shiniko. Kinoshita walks out and drags Raiko to the back. Haru opts to walk home with Ruo. The young pair start to talk about life and their interests. The following night, Ruo arrives home and finds a letter from Shiniko regarding reheating curry. The young boy can't help reflect on how vital Shiniko is to him and how Ruo's older brother came before him. Shiniko is at Ruo's old home in Kanazawa, where his father brings out a box with Ruo's older brother, old stuff. Meanwhile, Rupp is more determined to get Shiniko to accept him. Fukuda hooked up Raikuo with a job at a gallery, doing administration work, and helping with the exhibits. After talking with his colleague, a young man named Yuichi Minato walks into the office looking for a job. Later that day, the duo run into each other again and introduce themselves. Suddenly, Haru pops up and asks Raikuo to go out to eat. Minato recognizes Haru, but it takes a while for the young girl to remember who he is. They were in the same third-year class in high school. Raikuo can't help to feel uncomfortable and decides to relieve the tension by asking Raikuo about his photography. But in the end, Raikuo feels that Minato is very pretentious. That night, Minato walks into Haru's work. In the meantime, Raikuo, Fukuda, Shiniko go out for drinks. At the end of the night, Raikuo walks Shiniko home while Minato walks Haru home. The young girl spots Raikuo and Shiniko. She tries to hide, but it's too late. The elder pair spots them. Raikuo and Haru can't help but feel jealous. Minato can't help but share that he and Haru are in the same boat. At the gallery, Minato asks Raikuo if he's dating Shiniko. He denies it. Then Minato goes on to ask what his feelings are towards Haru. But Raikuo changes the subject. While leaving work, Raikuo finds Haru outside. She asks him to go out to eat, but he declines and opts to go home instead. For the past few days, Minato has been frequenting Haru's workplace. Kyuko believes he has ulterior motives. Haru visits Raikuo at the convenience store, but he's still giving her the cold shoulder. But this doesn't deter Haru. After work, Minato walks Haru home. However, she's starting to question her former Schulmedi's motives. Suddenly, Minato asks Haru to hang out. That day, Minato seizes the opportunity and formally asks Haru out. But she declines. Even though she feels that Raikuo treats her as a backup, she can't give up on him. Haru's rejection prompts Minato to leave Japan and explore new opportunities. The pair give each other a handshake and say their goodbyes. At the photo exhibition, Minato has won first prize. His submission was a picture of Haru. Chika Yuzuhara waits for Raiko at the back of the convenience store. At first, he doesn't recognize her, but when she tells him her name, he freezes. She asks if she can stay with him since she got kicked out of her place. Raiko tells Kinoshita about his run-in with Yuzuhara, but his colleague already knows about her. She brings ruin to every music band that she was involved with. Shiniko asks Raiko to hook up her TV system. He tells her that he will help her any time she needed. Raiko arrives at him, and Yuzuhara has made dinner for the two. But it's only to smoothen the blow. Yuzuhara wants to extend her stay at Riku's place. Raiko gets offered a new job opportunity. If only he wants to be a professional photographer. When Raiko arrives home, he falls on top of Yuzuhara. Feeling that these are a sexual trade-off for letting her stay, Yuzuhara agrees. However, Raiko is sick with a fever. Yuzuhara reveals the reason she left home. Meanwhile, a tipsy Shinako walks home but winds up at the convenience store where Haru spots her. Inside, Kinoshita informs them that Raiko is sick. The two girls go to his apartment. But they're shocked to see Yuzuhara open the door. The next morning, Yuzuhara tells him that Haru and Shinako stopped by throwing Raiko into panic mode. Raiko can't help but tell the truth to Haru, and the latter can't help but feel pissed. After work, Raiko goes to Shinako's apartment, and the young woman gives Raiko an scary glare. During dinner, Yuzuhara reveals the real reason she broke up with Raiko. The next day, Shinako goes to Riku's apartment but runs into Yuzuhara. The latter invites Shinako in and tells her the reason why she's at Riku's place. When Raiko arrives home, he finds a farewell letter from Yuzuhara. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for part 2.